Hey, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. It's Saturday night, 9:30, as we meet every Saturday. You're probably wondering, why is Shando speaking in English? Well, tonight we're going to do something a little different. We're going to interview someone who is from Chicago. However, he lived in Louisiana, moved from Louisiana, wound up in Chicago, and is doing great things from Chicago throughout the United States. And so hang out with us and let's spend this time together as we talk with Dr. Willie Wilson.
Este programa llega a ustedes como una fina cortesía de Funeraria Cristiana. Estamos ahí cuando tú más nos necesitas. La familia de Samuel J. Tanaglia Sr., Midwestern Christian Academy, una escuela primaria cristiana donde la Biblia es la base de la educación, y televidentes como usted.
Thank you once again for spending this half an hour with us. It is a joy to be able to meet every week and simply talk and enjoy the company of the person or persons that we interview. Tonight we have a special guest. His name is Dr. Willie Wilson, a man that is being used in an incredible way, not just here in the city of Chicago, but throughout the United States. And so let's welcome Dr. Willie Wilson. Doc, thank you for coming out and spending some time with us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate you having us on this show. We're honored.
Well, Doc, I'm the one that's honored. I've known you. I've become a friend, and you have become such a great friend to me as well. Yeah. And I've been able to spend some time with you as you visit churches, as you visit communities, as you've considered doing the work that you continue to do and will continue to do according to what you've talked to me about. The truth is, I thought this would be a great opportunity to have someone like you come on this show and talk about the work and the vision that you do and that you have. So, Doc, let's start out by simply going back to where your roots are. You started in Louisiana, am I correct? That's where you were born?
That's correct. Gilbert, Louisiana, Gilbert, between Monroe and Baton Rouge. We kind of right in the center. We were sharecroppers.
You were sharecroppers. When you say you were a sharecropper, are you also including your family?
Oh, yeah. My root, my whole background is sharecropper. Mm-hmm. And I'm still a sharecropper today.
You still consider yourself to be a sharecropper?
Yeah, because that's my root.
Yeah.
And my DNA. Yeah. I work like a sharecropper still, right. But I just get paid now. Yeah.
What was work like back then? Do you remember how many hours, the labor, how hard it was? What was it like?
Well, we didn't necessarily have no clock, but all I know it was before sunrise. Yeah. And way after sun go down.
At what age did you start to work the fields?
Well, Mama was born at a house, shotgun house, and down south, people those days didn't have a doctor office to have the baby. It was the next door neighbor that come over and deliver the baby. Yeah. And I was delivered in a shotgun house, and Mama wrapped me up in some cotton clothes and put me on the back of the cotton sack, and I've been working ever since because Mama back in the field 2 hours after he had me. Yeah.
So you basically say you began your work life at a very early age.
Oh, no doubt about it. We was on the cotton sack, and then after we grew up, we was in the field still.
So you learned to walk, and immediately after you learned to walk, you began your working life.
Right.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about your work ethic and how that has been used to bless others. You know, having a good work ethic is quite often something that is not found today. It's often missed. But the truth is, there's still people out there, young and old, who are working hard every day and who not only impact their own lives, but impact the lives of others. And so, Doc, you worked in the fields, and until what age were you out there in Louisiana?
Well, it was 13 years we worked and we didn't get paid. So you got to understand my background is that being a sharecropper, my parents was, slavery. So as the Black History Month just passed a few months ago, you got to understand that we were brought over on a ship, got out that, and we was work. The men were brought over here for work, but the females, when they brought them over on the ship, the female, they was brought here to have babies and to raise babies for the trop, white man trop. So that was brought here for. They were
to have more manual labor.
That's correct.
Free manual labor.
That's correct.
And so you were brought up in a setting where working without pay was part of life.
None of us, my father, my mother, none of us got paid. We had a place to live, shotgun house, and we would eat whatever we was given from the white man house, and we would go rabbit, bird hunting to eat.
Would you say you worked from sunrise to sundown?
For 13 years without pay.
For 13 years. Was there ever a time that you got paid? Was there ever a time where you began to receive something in return?
No, see how they were working with this way here, we had to bail, the man would say we had to bail what you call 50 bales of cotton.
Right.
And that would pay for our room and our board. And we would get 70 bales of cotton. Then they said, well, y'all had more food and you still owe us. And that's how it was done.
So you were working hard from sunrise to sundown, and you still did not work enough to be able to make some money.
No,
you wound up owing after you worked so hard.
Right. That was the way to keep us on the farm.
Right. What happened in your life that allowed for a new beginning or a change, at least from that lifestyle?
Ran away from home.
You ran away from home at what age?
13, seventh grade education. And we went to school 2.5 months out of a year. And I decided to run away from home to get my parents from out of the South. And
so your running away from home wasn't because you were having issues, differences with your parents.
No.
You ran away from home because you wanted to provide for your parents who were working hard.
Right. And was successful in doing that several years in the future after I ran away.
So you went from Louisiana to where?
Delray Beach, Florida, and Mexico, Florida. Came back and ended up in Chicago because my mother wanted us to take and come up here where my auntie was at.
So your aunt was already living here in Chicago.
That's correct. Okay. And then I had hit tough time in Florida, and so we went back home for a day or two and got on a car with my cousin. And even when I was second cousin, he dropped me off at the Greyhound bus station and he left me.
Did he leave you because that was part of the plan, or did he leave you because he abandoned you?
Abandoned me.
So you're here in the city of Chicago, basically alone.
Yeah, because he wouldn't wait till I called my auntie.
Right.
I had my auntie phone number.
Right.
He dropped me off that bus station then was on Randolph.
Okay.
And dropped me off there, and he left me.
So this is in what year, Doc?
That was 1965.
1965. How old were you when you wound up in Chicago, this amazing or big city, very different from where you were born and brought up? What was your age? How old were you?
Well, I made it then 16 years old.
You were 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And so at age 16, you began your life here in Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And did you find work right away, or how were you able to survive?
My auntie was there, and they gave me a job at where her husband worked at.
Right.
It was at Melrose Park on Ruby Street.
Okay. Wow,
right,
you remember the street? You remember the town? Yeah. Melrose Park is a town here in near the city of Chicago.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, 2250 Ruby Street.
And you worked there. Was it a factory, or was it what was it?
Piano factory.
Okay.
And
piano factory.
I went 9 months and I quit the job. And as I quit the job, I went home. My auntie said, "You quit the job. Why you got another one?" I said, "No." And then she said, you got to leave here, and I was put out.
We're gonna get to your music part of your life, but working at a piano factory, did you ever think someday you will have an orchestra?
No. I did
That was
not.
nowhere in sight.
No, nowhere in sight.
Yeah.
When I got a orchestra, I was working. I was at a church,
Right.
and I had such a tough time, and I had to go back to church because I had such a hard time.
Did you hit rock bottom type of thing?
I went under the rock.
Really?
Right.
That's probably one of the first times I've heard that. So not only did you hit rock bottom, you literally were under it.
Under the rock, right. Uh-huh.
And you wound up going back to church.
I had no choice because I had tried all the other choices,
Right.
and we still couldn't get nowhere. So we done that, and I got in the church choir. I was trying to find myself.
Anyone that knows you, Doc, knows that you have a heart for church, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in a bit. But let's go back to your working life. When did you wind up buying your first, because in your book, and by the way, Dr. Willie Wilson has a book, it's entitled, What Should I Do Next When I Don't Know Next What to Do? And we're going to be able to let you know how you can get a hold of this book by Dr. Willie Wilson. Doc, when did you begin to move in that direction to purchase and have your own McDonald's? How were you connected with McDonald's first?
Well, I was going to leave Chicago. After I had a tough time, we moved to a place called Ford Heights.
Okay.
And I was going to go out to California, but my lady we were staying with said, well, you ought to go to work at the McDonald's down the street and try to make some out of yourself. You're going to California with your brother out there, but you don't have a job. So I said, well, I guess I could try it. And so, I said, fine. So that was May the 7th, 1970.
I'm impressed with how you're able to remember the month, the date, or the year.
Oh, yeah.
So you found a job at McDonald's. And what was your first responsibility? Do you remember what type of work you did in the beginning?
You were $2 per hour. It was an empty garbage can and flipping hamburgers on the grill.
And so you started out at McDonald's making $2 an hour, but it's amazing. How did you wind up owning your own McDonald's? Because that's quite honestly a successful story. That's a story that needs to be told time and time again. How was that experience from $2 an hour to becoming the owner of a McDonald's?
Well, the situation happened this way. I didn't really want to work at McDonald's at first, but it was a means to an end. So we made a few dollars. We were getting ready to go to California, and it was all white neighborhood. And so one night they came out there, and the young men, young ladies, and white people in the community shot my window out, my car, and then wanted me to force me to leave work and out of the neighborhood. So we never was taught to run from anything.
Right.
And that's why I stayed. But I said, well, they're not gonna run me away.
Right.
And so I stayed, and we got the police report. The owner supported me and said, stay here, stay there. And we was able to do it and work our way on up. And the manager left off, and after we were training them, and they had a strike.
Right.
And the owner came and asked me, could I run the stores?
So because of the strike, you were given an opportunity to run the store as if you were a manager.
Yeah.
Did you receive that title? Did you receive the salary?
No. We worked with the same salary, and we ran the store for a week or two before they sell it.
Right.
And then it came back, and after that, the only thing I got out of it was that he said, "Look, could you hang with us because I'm gonna get ready to go to California." Right. And they asked me, and they said, well, look, we'd like you to stay. And we'd like to one day work your way into management, assistant manager. Yeah. And so we got our way up, and $135
a week.
Right. All right. Now, it still wasn't necessarily a manager. It was called a crew chief or something like that.
Right.
So we did $135 a week, and we worked 5 years without a day off. That's including Christmas.
You worked 5 years. Are you talking about working 5 years straight without a day off? Mm-hmm. Why did you not take a day off? I mean, I understand there are people who simply cannot take a day off, but did you find that it was difficult for you, or what was it? Why did you not take a day off?
Well, I'm accustomed to working when you're trying to get ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a lot better than being in the cotton field. Right?
Okay. All right.
The sun wasn't blazing down our head.
Right.
So
right.
we was accustomed to work.
So you worked for 5 years without taking a day off, Doc. That's an amazing work ethic. And when did that day arrive when you finally decided, I am going to own my own McDonald's?
Well, it was in August of 1975.
In 1975, how did that come about?
Well, I went to the owner and asked for the opportunity to take that and become management, asked for a raise. Right. And he said, well, you think that you deserve a raise? And I said, well, $135 a week, and we trained the other manager, which was white.
Who wound up leaving.
Right.
Right.
They make $300 plus bonus.
Right.
And
so that was the difference between the pay, $300 and $135 you were earning. They were earning $300.
Plus bonus.
Plus bonuses.
Right.
Okay. So you asked the manager.
You would ask the owner.
Or the owner.
And he said that, did I think that I could make money somewhere else? And I said, well, we just figured that we could make some money and take care of my wife and my family. Sure. Now, at that time, my ex-wife now, but we had 3 or 4 kids, right. $135 a week. And he said, well, you think the grass greener on the other side? And I said, well, look, why don't I do this here? I'll just go back to work. I got a family to take care of. And so I got back to my job, right. And he sent his supervisor and fired me.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You thought the conversation was over, you were going to continue working there, but then you were fired.
I kind of had a suspicion that it was going to happen, but in reality, that's what happened. And so I got fired. And then, so when I got fired, I finally went to work for another franchise. I worked there.
McDonald's still?
McDonald's still.
Okay.
I worked there for 5 years. Then I finally went to the owner of McDonald's, Ray Kroc, called up his secretary. Didn't have anything, nothing to lose. Right. So I went and I did that. But the ironic thing of it is this here. As we didn't work 10 years then total. We was working one day and I probably got my business to McDonald's, so he gave it to me. So I get this phone call and could he come and see me? I said, yeah.
Who was that phone call from?
The person who fired me.
The same person who fired you calls you.
Right. And so his wife wanted to come and talk to me. Now, I owned my McDonald's then. Right. Right. And they came to me and they had ran into a financial problem. They needed $25,000, and I gave it to them.
Wait a minute. The owner of the McDonald's that wound up firing you because you were asking for a raise, later came to you and asked you for a loan.
Yes, and I gave it to him.
Doc, this is a story. This is amazing. I mean, we could make a movie out of your life story.
Well, yeah, it's in my book.
It's great. And by the way, once again, we want to encourage you to get Dr. Willie Wilson's book. On the screen, you'll be able to find the information, how you can get his book. Title of the book is, What Shall I Do Next When I Don't Know Next What to Do? I've read the book, very powerful. This is why Doc is here visiting our program, Hablemos. And boy, I encourage you to get his book. Doc, so you gave this individual $25,000.
Yeah.
And what happened after that?
Well, we gave him $25,000. He asked for a loan. He would pay it back. And he wouldn't pay it back. And then so I let it pass, and then I wouldn't pay it back. So then I said, one day I was working in the store, I said, this is just wrong. So I asked my lawyer to place a call to him and his wife. They still didn't want to do it. So my lawyer said, well, you don't give it back to him, you want to take it to court. Then they finally wrote the check and gave my $25,000 back before we get into court.
Sure.
So so that was that, and it was amazing because my sister asked me. She said, "Are you losing your mind?" I said, "No." I said because I was trying to make this transition at that time,
Right.
From being in the street back to a Christian life.
Right.
Right. Because I've been blessed, and
Right.
I felt that I got to do more with my life.
Right. And that's what I really want to now talk about, because Doc, I've known you for now 4 years. We've become friends. I appreciate and thank God for the friendship that we have. I have been so impacted to see how you allow the Holy Spirit, you allow God to work in you and through you. It's quite an experience spending time with you and seeing how you are so willing to give. So you wanted to begin that new life. You went back to church. Today you have a heart for church.
Yes. To me, church is all there is from a spirituality standpoint of view. You have it's helped, I'd say, cement the foundation of your DNA.
Wow.
Right. And so yes, you're still going to go astray,
Right.
and everything. You do right, do wrong, but you're going to become more powerful in terms of as a good human being.
So you're saying even though we're not perfect, even though we make mistakes, we're sinners. The Bible calls it sin.
Yeah.
Even though that is not justifying enough for us to leave church.
No, not at all.
We need to stay in church.
My recommendation is to stay in church regardless of what a bad habit you may have.
Right.
Because understand that I got things that I do is wrong too. You're strong in some area, weak in other area.
Right.
All right. But that's what grace and mercy is about.
Yeah.
You know?
So true.
Yeah.
So true.
And so don't let your doing wrong keep you out of the church and you call yourself a hypocrite, so you don't want to be a hypocrite. So you don't want to go to church. But I tell people this here, it is better to be a hypocrite in church than outside the church.
Wow, that is so true. I've heard you say, don't allow for the mistakes in life, your sin in life, to define the rest of your life.
Right.
You know, you can make changes, you can decide to leave that behind, but of great importance, church ought to be always of great importance in your life. Now, I've seen you help African American churches. I've seen you in Hispanic churches. I've seen you in Asian churches. You are everywhere, whether it's white, black, or brown. You help all churches. How do you help the churches?
Well, first of all, you always should tithe a tenth of what you make. If you make $100, you tithe $10.
So you practice that?
We not only practice that, but we go over that. And here's why. If I practice only a 10% of what I have, my mind, someday we being human, we might miss it. So Doc, I get more.
You're telling me that everything that comes in, every money cent that you earn, you tithe, you give a 10% and more.
And more, because I won't take a chance just on 10%.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like a bank. The more you put in the bank, more interest you make.
Yes.
So 10%, I'm getting good interest.
Right.
But if I go 50%, much more interest.
And of course, you're referring to heavenly interest, no?
But not on a heavenly interest on earth.
Right.
So I'm very fortunate and blessed.
You're the only one I know that when asked to visit a church to speak, to sing, because you have an orchestra, you have a TV show, Sensation, you're the only one I know that goes to the church, speaks, teaches, preaches, and sings with the orchestra, but you give a donation to the church. You don't expect to be paid. You don't expect to be given a donation from the church. Doc, why do you do that? I mean, it's obvious that you want to help churches, but is this really part of the desire of your heart to help churches this way?
Well, you help the person are the reason for who got you there. Right? And so you can never repay it, but you can be obedient and trying to show some way that I'm grateful for your grace and your mercy. We won't ever replace it. You can't ever replace that situation to say, okay, I grace and mercy, you cannot replace it because it's a free gift, right? And so grace wake you up in the morning. Right. Grace got me here now. That's right. Mercy taking care of me from what I did wrong, and I know I did wrong. All right. So therefore, whatever we have don't belong to us. Right. So we must give back that something that don't belong to us. Anyway.
So this is a way that you express to God your gratefulness, your thankfulness for His grace and for His mercy in your life.
Absolutely right.
You know, I must say this: you wound up taking care of your mom and dad. You took them out of that setting of that difficult lifestyle, and you sustained them. You supported them. Today, your parents are with the Lord, but you continue to support people. The other day, you traveled throughout the city, giving money, giving words of encouragement to people who are living in these tent cities. This is something that is amazing, that is truly appreciated. I heard it once, twice. I was with you. Do you desire to continue doing that?
We will continue to do that. We've always have done it. You know, as we got the resources to do it with, we just do it more now. And by the way, I stated here, the first 100 people who call in your show here.
This program,
I'm gonna give them $100 a piece. Now they gotta call to your program.
Right. Wow.
Right.
Doc, we're about to end. You're saying that you want to give $100 to each person, the first 100 people that connect with us, contact us, and this is a gift. This was not planned. This is a gift from Dr. Willie Wilson to the first 100 people. Each person that calls in, connects with us, will receive $100 up to $10,000. Dr. Willie Wilson, our time has ended. We are so grateful. I'm going to have you back on our show here in Hablemos. You are a man of God. We are so grateful for the work, the ministry that you do. And let me say this as we end. I want to continue to encourage you to do the work of the Lord as you continue to do so day in and day out. And I want to encourage you to get Dr. Willie Wilson's book. Well, our time has ended. We have to say goodbye every week. Ciao, ciao.
Este programa llegó a ustedes como una fina cortesía de Funeraria Cristiana. Estamos ahí cuando usted más nos necesita. La familia de Samuel J. Tanaglia Sr., Midwestern Christian Academy, una escuela primaria cristiana donde la Biblia es la base de la educación, y televidentes como usted.